Hi there, I am Sherry Arndt with the Christian Working Woman, and I'm wondering, what's that in your hand? In today's video, I want to help us each reflect on this question because our answer is what really matters. Many of us are familiar with the life of Moses in the Old Testament. If you are not, I encourage you to read his biography in the book of Exodus. Moses was an Israelite baby born in a time when the king was so afraid of this people group that he tried to control their population by killing their baby boys. Moses' mother hid Moses in a basket and sent him downriver. There he was rescued by an Egyptian princess and was raised in the king's house. Once Moses was grown, he saw the oppression of his own people. He murdered an Egyptian, ran in fear, and hid in the quiet life of a shepherd. 40 years later, this same man was called by God to go and lead the Israelites out of slavery. And the challenge that he faced in this calling. Moses has an incredible story of overcoming hardship and perseverance. I'm sure that you can think of several other people throughout history with fabulous stories. God is in the business of using ordinary people to do extraordinary things. What I would love for us to think about today is what ordinary thing in your life can you offer back to God to do extraordinary things for him? For me, I think it would be my ears. They're good at listening. It doesn't appear to be much, but when someone calls into the office and needs prayer, I can listen. When a friend is struggling, I can listen. Or when my kids feel like they've been wronged, I can listen. And as I listen, I pray that God will use my listening skills to hear their heart need and lead them to God's word for wisdom or to remind them of his unchanging character. Let's return to the time of Moses' life when he lived in a hiding as a shepherd for his father-in-law's sheep. Out in the field, he saw a burning bush and he went over to go check it out and he encountered God. Now, I don't want to have time to go into the details of this story, but there's something important that I want us to see. Moses was going about his regular daily job. He had every excuse in the book for why he couldn't do what God was asking him to do. But bottom line, he was afraid. And in the middle of this conversation, God asked Moses to take what was in his hand, the shepherd's staff, and throw it on the ground. His staff became a snake. God asked him to pick it up, and when Moses picked it up, it became a staff once again. Like Moses, we all have our excuses, our fears. Who am I? I don't have the experience, the reputation, the education. But what if we laid down our fear? What if we turned our gaze toward heaven and remembered the work of our hands is about God and not ourselves? Do you think Moses ever dreamt of being a man whose life would go down in the books, the history books? Do you think he ever imagined striking a rock in that staff and seeing water come pouring out of it? Or could he even fathom leading hundreds of thousands of grumbling people out of slavery to a promised land? I'm not sure what Moses thought his life was going to be about. Maybe he thought he would just be an ordinary working man, providing, and loving his family the best that he could. But what I do see in Moses is an obedient heart, although reluctant at times. When you read Moses' story, you will see how he laid down his fears, picked up his calling. God was patient and provided all that Moses needed. God stayed close and equipped Moses to do the job that he called him to do. God used that shepherd's staff, an ordinary tool, to display the power of God. What fears do you need to lay down? What excuses need to be silenced? What do you have in your hand that you can offer up to God? God is in the business of using the ordinary to do extraordinary things.